Okay, I said that I will not draw anymore, but the spontaneous drawing is different than a drawing that I've been thinking. But you know this shurite I thought. So can you explain while I'm doing the wiping? Can you explain the shurite for the big audience?
Shurite, well.
As you know, comes from Okinawa, which was in China, and there were 3 locations. Obviously, where they were practicing karateka, as it was named back then. It was shuri, now up and down.
Obviously, now we're going to hear something about.
No. We are not. It was just a joke, just to test that are you up to date? Because
I'm not a historian, by the way.
Yeah. This was my weird
sense of humor.
Weird sense of humor. This was truly it, because what I'm going to talk about now is not shurite. It is the other thing. It's shu, ha, and ri. Yeah. So this is not only a Budo term. So it's a common Japanese term that shuhari. So first you learn the techniques.
Or learn from tradition.
Learn from tradition, yeah. And then you you break the techniques or apply the techniques, and then finally you forget the techniques.
Yeah, you transcend, go beyond.
Yeah. Of course, these terms includes a lot of different variations, but basically it's learning, breaking, leaving, or other terms are okay. And of course, when you start karate, then of course you start learning. And I was actually, I think you have of course learned much more than me, but as this kind of a normal guy, I'm just a normal guy who has just been very keen to karate. So I have learned actually a lot of techniques, lot of different katas, and you have learned maybe 10 times more than me katas. But you know, there was a time that I was able to do, I don't know, 10 Wadaryu katas and 7-8 Ashihara katas and maybe 15-16 Koryutsunari katas or futari keikos, which are basically 2-person katas. So anyway, when I was in this stage learning techniques, I enjoyed that, and at some point then I kind of reached the peak that now I have kind of learned enough techniques, and anyway this half phase for me has been a long phase. So I've been breaking techniques a lot, and you know, searching for different variations and not believing that this is the truth. So I've been doing also this half phase at the same time. When I was like learning Koryutsunari, I was still doing half phase for the others. So but now in some aspects I feel that I'm starting to be in the re-phase side. So I don't even anymore break the technique. So I'm just, you know, if somebody is punching me and I'm in a certain state, I just reply with something that you know. And even when I'm teaching, I have now difficulties with the teaching when I ask that, okay, can you attack me with this attack? And suddenly, even a surprise for me, I reply with something, and then something different happens when the next attack comes. So this is a nice phase for me, but not from the teaching point anymore. So even though when I was in the breaking phase, I could still teach these kind of technical phases. But now when I start to be, of course I'm partly there, still partly there, but I start to be more and more here on the rephase. So I start to go actually to more and more simple techniques. I leave a lot of techniques behind, and now this is what Esa Maula said, that if you are a beginner, you are here, but if the other person starts to be here,
you can actually
intersection. If you go to more simple and simple, if you go to the closer and closer to the first practice what you ever did, but with the totally different minds. There is some saying also for this, but this is how I feel that in some issues I'm going to more and more simple stuff, and I start to be. Well, you say that I'm angry at this every now and then in the practices. Well, when you start to go to the kind of starting point, you start to come closer to that. It's really, really annoying that if persons who have been practicing for 10 years or 15 years, 20 years, if the basic issues are not there, what should have been placed in the first practice already.
Yeah.
So I'm more and more frustrated on these issues, and these issues are kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
These technical issues for me right now.
Two things comes to my mind first time I see it drawn out like this, but when you as a teacher start to reach this stage, I think curriculum is what we need in order to help the learners, because Morihei Ueshiba, the founder of Aikido, I mean, he was obviously a genius when it comes to the martial arts, but he was not a pedagogic, if I understand what I've read about him correctly, and it was hard for his students to grasp where they were going. He could say, this is one of Aikido's basic techniques, and eventually they end up with 5 of them. But it was nothing that he structured. So I think if a teacher, when you get far enough on the path, you need to have the curriculum to have something to, at least for your students to relate to.
Yeah.
Magical glass. More drink again. Cheers.
Cheers.
You already wiped out the Shuhari picture you drew, but one thing came to my mind, that Shuhari definitely is, at least thinking about my own martial arts journey, I have a strong sense of at some point that was breaking tradition, and later I guess it's been more about the creating something new, going beyond the tradition. But for example, the training session we had this morning, I was so back in the shoe stage. I mean, rusty from the holidays, and I felt like starting over again.
That's why I draw it as a circle.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why it's such a good picture, because you come back, and like Hans McCarthy sometimes pointed out, that you arrive back where you started and understanding for the very first time.
Yeah.